Well, obviously, a lot of new with Detroit and the coaching staff, but then Ben Johnson coming over to the Bears. A lot of intrigue, obviously, around the league, how he's going to do in his first stint as the head man. Just with your time around Ben Johnson, how would you just describe his coaching style? And for maybe Bears fans that haven't seen him yet, obviously, you're getting training camp going coming up, but how would you describe Ben Johnson to the people that don't know him yet in Chicago?
I gave this some thought this morning, and it's funny because I saw Odunze's comments about him being strict so far at practice, and that doesn't totally surprise me, but I didn't have to see that much of that side of him because here he wasn't in a position to have to enforce those things across 70 players. It doesn't shock me that he would be eager to keep everybody on the same page, set tight standards early, because this man is far from stupid. In fact, he is brilliant. I think he's a football genius. He is absolutely obsessed with consuming football at any level. And that's why his Rolodex of plays and tricks seems never ending. He constantly had people in the building here sending him notes, sending him things from college football clips. You name it. If there was a cool play that happened in football at any level in the United States, he was taking a look at it week in and week out. He's a true football guy. When it's about the game, Ben Johnson is locked in. It's almost slightly Joker style, not in a villain way, but like always calculating, always plotting. But he also told us last year that taking on the responsibilities of a head coach was something that really weighed on him. He asked if I am the type of man that has enough man to do that. Am I capable of that? So I do think outside of this fascinating and joyful football side of him, he also has a somewhat philosophical coaching side as well. So I'm not shocked that he's going into this wanting to set standards early. Nothing there has surprised me.
It's really interesting because just from what I've seen from him too, it's very detail oriented. He's been that way with the offense in Detroit since he took over, and now that's expanded to the rest of the team to kind of set that bar, set that standard. But something that we heard over and over again from Ben was that he was going to take his personnel into account when trying to devise this scheme. He warned this scheme was not going to look like the Detroit Lions offense. It was especially last year, because last year was the result of years and years kind of getting to be in Ben Johnson's system and evolving in that way. So how did you see the evolution happen in Detroit, and maybe how do you think that's going to translate then in Chicago? Are we going to see something completely new? How much new did you see over the last couple of years with Ben Johnson? It seems like he was just never his bag of tricks was never empty.
No, it really was never ending. And I also think that has to do with he was put in a position to succeed here. The way that not only Brad Holmes constructs this roster, but Dan Campbell can work with his coaching staff, and the way that Sheila Ford has, I'm not saying written a blank check, but given them authority to build the best system on and off the field, means that everybody's allowed to work to their strengths in Allen Park. And knowing what Ben Johnson was capable of and letting him be the mega mind there, then taking other things off of his plate and allowing that to shine. But I also think in that experience, he learned, okay, a good head coach puts people in these right positions. And Dan might not be perfect at everything. He's going to let David Phipp go off about any special teams thing he wants. And he knows he wants a guy like that too. He knows I want to build my roster so that I don't need to be the expert at everything. I need to have experts in everything. I think that was a really important lesson he learned here. But also, that is what intrigues me about what comes next for him in this chapter is how do you learn to take a step back? We can all relate to that in our jobs, realizing what you are and aren't paid to do. And I think that's a really big distinction when coordinators become head coaches and is detrimental to them getting in their own way of success. If you can't say, okay, I cannot be watching this much film, I have to go focus on this or something else. That is of particular interest to me.